Hello, it's Scott Newcomb with Zenby AI. Welcome to the Systems Are Sexy podcast. Today I am joined by Ryan Miller. He is the founder of Zori Realty and the creator of Dragon, a platform built out of necessity after every existing tool fell short of what agents and clients actually needed. He lived the operational pain points firsthand. He's built solutions by testing them with real estate agents, and now he's bringing a level of transparency and simplicity to the real estate transaction industry, but it's never really been delivered. So, Ryan, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good, Scott. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So I'm curious about Dragon. Maybe we start there. You talked about existing tools couldn't keep up. So maybe tell us a little bit about Dragon and what the frustrations you had and what kind of problems you're solving.
So first of all, when I started selling homes in 2011, I just thought it was weird that when someone buys a home, they have nowhere to go online to see the process when they're under contract, when they've closed. So we're used to buying everything and having a dashboard on Amazon and stuff like that. So when I started my own company, Zori Realty, in 2017, I was frustrated with the option. So I had a website to run the back end. I had a website that was a CRM. I had a website that was the front end, and I had a website for transaction management, for taxes, for accounting. And that just became overwhelming to the point where I said, okay, what if I built my own thing that was all in one, and that gave the customer a view of everything? Because I was just really fed up with everything I had to log into as a broker. Then on top of that, the customer's experience was no better than it has been 20 years ago. We're still waiting on calls, texts, emails from the agent. And then on top of that, the broker typically has no idea what's going on within the transactions in their brokerage. So I set out to solve that for myself. And then after using it for a couple of years, tweaking it, we started selling it to different brokerages who have the same need.
Okay, great. So obviously you run a brokerage, and now you kind of understand the pain points of that. What are the top operational problems or pain points brokerages have? Maybe they don't see until it's too late.
Number one, I would say is visibility into a transaction. So a lot of brokerages, they all have their own system that it works, but the customer doesn't see anything. First of all, they see a hearted property on a website, and that's really it until closing day, and they get keys, which is a problem. But brokerages, from my experience and speaking with other brokers as well, they don't know what's going on in their brokerage. So they don't have a unified CRM. So if someone's under contract with one of their agents and they reach out to the broker has no idea who that person is. They don't know what pain points or what part of the timeline they're in with the transaction. So they're just clueless on something that their name is on.
Got it. You mentioned transparency before. Why do you think the industry has been slow to adopt transparency as a standard?
I don't know. I think because what ends up happening is a tech company will make a CRM, a tech company will make a transaction management, but they don't link them together because they weren't in it. Like someone who has done this, I don't think has ever made something. So something like a good CRM, they make it out of, I bet real estate agents need a good CRM, but they've never been a real estate agent. Or transaction management, there might be a need for this, but they've never been a real estate broker. They shouldn't be separate. A CRM is mandatory if you're going to be in real estate. Transaction management is mandatory, as is a website. So not having those things linked is really crazy. And the problem with that is they create a CRM, they make a ton of money, and they sell it to another company. They make a transaction management, they give it to everyone for free as part of an MLS perk, and then they pull the rug out and say, okay, it's X amount of dollars a month now that they're used to it. So that's another reason I wanted to create something that no one could take from me. That I wasn't going to be like, okay, I'm going to raise the price on you now, or I'm going to change who owns this. Because that's a big problem too. A lot of these CRMs, websites, they've been sold to different owners. Follow Up Boss is the most recent one where they sold to Zillow.
Got it. So speaking about Dragon, there's a couple components to it. When people, like a realtor or broker, sees it for the first time, what part, finally gets like an immediate yes, finally kind of reaction on it?
The brokers really like the transaction page. It's super clean on it. Has the details, the mailbox number, the timeline. We have a lot of things where the customer can see what the agent or broker has done without them saying, hey, I just did this, or hey, I have to do this next. So they can see what has been done, what needs to be done without the agent really over communicating. So they can see it right in front of them. When brokers see that, and then at the bottom of the page, there's lines for each transaction document, and then a line to add that to the dashboard for the customer, they're really blown away.
Got it. So obviously you got kind of thinking longer term with it. Are there requests that agents make of most of you? Like you get a lot of requests for this, and have you kind of modified your product roadmap, or is it pretty set up the way it is right now?
Pretty set up. I mean, most of it was based on what I needed. And then every week I have agents at my company asking me to add something to it, which I do, which is because the requests are coming from busy real estate agents, and that's what I want. I want problems to be solved and not us to be solving problems that aren't there. So yeah, I try not to add too much to it too. It's very comprehensive, but even when I do demos for brokers, I don't show them more than 10% of it because it can get overwhelming. And that's one of the reasons the other CRMs, transaction managements, aren't used. They have a million features, they do a lot, but no one uses them because they're too complicated.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I feel like I've had those conversations with people, and the number you mentioned, 10%, I feel like is accurate. I feel like most realtors, not just realtors, I mean, a lot of industries, they're only using like 10 to 20% of the tool because it is so overwhelming. And they kind of stick on, hey, I just focus on these couple things because it's just too hard to learn all this other stuff. Like, how do you simplify for people who are maybe barely using the CRM they have right now?
I mean, we give it multiple things. So the question I get from brokers is, how do I make my agents use this? Number one, we have a couple reasons to use it. So number one is the CRM, they have to use it to maintain their business. But when they get a transaction and they put it in there, there's a space on there called the wall where everyone in the brokerage can see that they got a contract and everyone congratulates them. And on top of that, on the customer facing website, the buyer or seller has the transaction area where they log in and see everything. So they're going to be expecting that and expecting to be kept up to date. So in order to sell and you have to use the platform, you have to put it in. And there's many reasons to do so. Where right now, I talked to brokers and I saw this too. The only time a broker knows about a transaction is when the agent wants to get paid, but they didn't know about it all the way up to closing date. They could have helped the agent out.
Right. So maybe would you say the biggest bottleneck right now is just kind of getting dragging out in front of people?
Yeah. I'd say just exposure, like getting in front of the people who have that problem. Because when I get it in front of people, they're really like, wow, okay, this makes a whole lot of sense. And I think it's because again, it came out of frustration. This isn't something I built because I thought it would be a good idea. I built this because I needed it.
What have you tried so far to get in front of people? Are there different channels that have maybe had more traction than others?
I have a sales team who does some cold calling, cold email, stuff like that. We haven't put a ton of money into the outreach because we have a lot of people who want to see it, and that's kind of the bulk of my time is showing it to people and getting people set up. But yeah, we're open to expanding that in the new year.
Okay. How do you, with a tool like this, how do you come up with pricing? Because I think you do it per brokerage, per agent fee. Like, how, because there's couple different ways to go. What's the thought process with how you want to price something like this?
Yeah, so it was honestly trial and error. So we looked at what other companies charge. You got to bundle 4 to 8 different websites just to run a brokerage. So that, $2,500 plus a month. So we kind of went from that and just made it cheaper to start. And then we have other ways inside the platform to make money from advertising. On the dashboard, when I had a big local office, I'd have a lender, a title company saying, "Hey, can we rent office space?" They'd pay the rent, but they'd never show up because they want access to the agents. So we have a thing on the dashboard where it's such an active place for everyone in the brokerage that you can put an ad on there for any lender who wants to pay you, so that people do that where it pays for the platform.
Okay, got it. Is it hard to show ROI when a broker goes like, "Hey, how does this save me money, or how does this make me more money?" Or is that an easy conversation for you?
It's kind of just comparison on what they're doing now. So, how much time are you spending getting everything and all these websites have a closing? What's your referral rate look like? Because when a customer goes through this and has a dashboard like they do on, let's say, Amazon, I always make the joke I buy a lot of diapers. I have little kids. And I know exactly where those diapers are and what I paid just by looking at the dashboard. But when someone's buying a house, they have no idea. Like it's kind of all up in the air. There's phone calls and texts and emails. So just showing them that and then showing them like not just for your personal sales, but for the agents in your brokerage, have that level of transparency. Like how much time is that going to save you? Not even money. Like money's on top of that.
How do you, obviously you have kids. How do you balance a couple businesses and kids? Because I think that's not we don't always talk about those kind of issues and stuff like that. How do you find time to balance everything?
With an amazing wife and partner. Um, yeah, that's how we talk about it every day. We make a plan and we do it.
Yeah, got it. So I know we've talked about a couple other tools out there like Follow Up Boss, Lofty, Sky Slope, Final Offer. Do you look at the competition and how you compare against them, or you just kind of stay in your lane and focus on what you guys do?
So I've used all those. Like I was a user of every single one of those. So I haven't like logged into them in years because I have my own thing now. But I just know what they offer and that they're not connected to the point where it would make any sense. So it's not like I go and check on their new features and stuff. That doesn't really it doesn't matter to me. I go based on what the agents ask for.
Got it. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that too, because like maybe you had mentioned about creating tools that maybe someone's never been a realtor before. What do you think, like, what's a misconception with prop tech founders about maybe how agents and brokers actually work day to day? Like, where's the disconnect between what the day to day is like and what they think the day to day is like?
I don't know.
Sorry not to know.
Yeah, I think they look at what would be a good idea. I've seen different websites where I've seen the interviews with the founders of it. They're like, oh yeah, we were doing this, and we thought having a CRM for real estate as one of the customers would be a good idea. And it's just there are a million CRMs. You can use a Google Sheet, and if you use it every day, it works, but it's not connected in all the things that come with the platform. So all those are great. Honestly, they have a million features. They do a lot. If you use it every day, you're going to do better than if you didn't. But I wanted to create something for brokers to help them and their agents. And then on top of that, the customer transparency, which nobody has.
Yeah. Something else I wanted, and we chatted about this before, kind of like the 0 to 1 and how like being an entrepreneur, it can be tough, right? I was speaking with
Mm.
a friend today he has a successful business, but man, there's some dark days. And I'm wondering like, how do you kind of deal with starting something up on the side when you already have your brokerage? Like you'd be kind of lonely. Like, how do you deal with trying to start something over here on the side and just like the loneliness that comes along with that?
Yeah, I mean, having your own company is lonely. Like the successes are lonely, the failures are lonely. So for me, again, it goes back to having my wife as an amazing partner. And with starting the dragon side of it, I had this idea with my friend Mike, and he passed away in 2020. That's what got me to just do it. After he passed, I was like, okay, we're doing this. So that it was it reasonable? No, like it was way more time and money and thought than I ever thought would go into making something like that. But I did it because I felt like I had to.
Yeah. So, like, when you have those days, like, how do you persevere? Because I know there's like I always talk about resiliency is really important, but there's some days where you're just like, I don't know if I can do this today. Like, how do you push through on days like that?
Hmm. I just look at my kids.
Yeah.
This is what you're doing it for. Like if you don't want to do it, just start tomorrow.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, but there's no option. Like I'm not like quitting's not an option. You just go to the next thing,
Yep.
move on,
Very true.
next task.
So let's say someone's interested in maybe kind of going down a similar path like you've done.
Mhm.
Maybe not necessarily advice because I know that's kind of a broad topic, but maybe is there a mistake that you made early on that you would try to tell someone to avoid?
As far as like on the real estate brokerage side or the technology side.
Yeah, either one. I mean, I think what you've done is start 2 different businesses, which is really impressive, but I know that we all make mistakes on a daily basis, and some are micro and some are
Yeah.
micro, but, like, maybe something that you would if you could talk to yourself 10 years ago and be like, "Hey, think about this instead of this."
Yeah, it's just so many it's so many micro failures and micro successes that it's hard to pick out one because the failures led to a success. A little failure led to a better idea. So it's hard to avoid something because it led to something better. You know what I mean? So like if you're starting something and it doesn't work out, as long as you don't quit, it's going to lead to something better. So there's always there's millions of little things that yeah, I wish they didn't happen, but it led to something better.
Yeah. Do you try to get better, like, personal development? Do you chat with other people, read books? Like, kinda what's your process for thinking about, like, how do I wanna get better at being a business owner?
Not really. No, I work and then I'm with my kids and wife. Like I don't really have time to read or do anything like that. I mean, I should. That's a great idea. I used to do that a lot more before we had little kids.
No, I get it. I get it totally. If you could automate one part of your business, what do you think it would be?
Marketing. You could do and that's the thing now with AI you can to some extent, but just having good marketing plans that go out without input on every little thing would be great.
All right, a couple more questions. I'm curious where obviously you got an established brokerage. What about Dragon? Where do you see it going in the next 2 to 3 years?
I want to get it in the hands of as many brokers who are like me that have this struggle but want to be better for their customers. I want to get it in as many of their hands as possible. That's the goal. Like I don't have a number goal. I don't have a I'm going to sell it goal. Like I just want to show it to as many people and help them change their businesses like I did for myself.
Okay, got it. Is there any other part of the transaction experience that feels outdated or needs to be rebuilt next?
I mean, as far as what we have, it's light years ahead of anything else, if I'm being honest, because there's no transaction feature. I saw some stat that 85% of agents don't put their lead into a CRM, when they get a transaction. So it's just all in their email and text. And that's just not an efficient way to serve customers.
Yeah.
You don't have everything in one place. You don't have documents in one place, timelines. People are missing dates, important dates. That's not the way to do it. So having, again, it just goes back to having everything in one place
Yeah. Got it.
that the customer can see.
Yeah, yeah, I know, right? Because they don't have that right now. I've got to believe that in the next few years, it's going to be much more transparent with guys like you trying
So,
to create new tools. It's going to be really interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, so if people want to learn more about um, Dragon, because that maybe appeals to a broader market for you, where should people go to either get a demo or learn more about your business?
Yeah. So allrise.com is our website, ALLRIZE.com. You can book a demo on there. You can see videos on every little feature, probably too much information, but it's all there and you can check it out there.
Well, thanks, Ryan. It's been great talking to you. Appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thank you.